Alright guys, so I promised you I'd go over the walk around activity with you. You guys have all my answers and all my work, but in case you can't follow the work, you can follow along with this video and it should explain everything pretty crystal clear. If you guys still have questions about it after this, please do not hesitate to come see me. So the first one we're talking about is going to be a distribution problem. Now the biggest thing that this question is asking you about is going to be two things. Can you keep track of your negatives, and can you work with fractions? So the first one's pretty simple. Take the -2, distribute it through. Now, to be very clear, guys, I would do the same thing I'm doing. I know some of you are probably like, oh, I can distribute easily. I don't have to circle and draw the arrows. Trust me. Do it, and it's going to make sure you're doing it correctly. Okay? Take the necessary precautions. So, when I distribute -2 times 3 is -6x. When I distribute -2 times -1, that's a +2. Now, I'm going to do the same thing here. This time, I'm multiplying by a fourth. But it's a -1/4. So, -1/4 times 16, that's going to be -4. -4x. Distribute the -1/4 to the 8. Well, -1/4 times 8 is just -2. Once you distribute, your next step is to combine like terms. So, I see I have a -6x and a -4x. That's going to be a -10x. I have a +2 and I have a -2. Those are going to cancel. So my final answer is -10x. Number 2. Number 2 is the same concept as number 1. Except instead of just simplifying it down, we are going to then solve. So we're taking our two processes, and we're not only going to distribute, we're not only going to combine like terms, we're also going to solve at the end. So I'm going to distribute, and anytime you see a distribution problem, I would distribute, guys, right away, just to get it out of the way. So that's going to be -6x plus 3. Now, again, my goal is to make this a two-step equation. If I can make it a two-step equation, I know how to solve it. So if I combine like terms, now from here, it's a two-step equation. We undo adding 6 by subtracting 6, because we always get rid of our constant first. And then finally, I'm going to undo multiplying by -6 by dividing by -6. Obviously, I want you guys to reduce as much as you can. 3 goes into both 15 and 6. So 3 goes into 15 5 times. 3 goes into 6 twice. Number 3. Number 3 is a complex fraction. Now remember what we talked about in class. Change the way how it looks. Change the way how it looks. Don't keep it as a complex fraction. Rewrite it as a division problem, because all fractions are just division problems. So 3/4 divided by -9/5. Now we know that when we divide by fractions, we don't divide by fractions. We instead multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of -9/5 is -5/9. Again, I'm just keeping the negative in the numerator. It does not have to go to the bottom. You can always keep it in the numerator and everything should work out. Now again, I can cross reduce here if I want, so I will. So 3 and 9 can be reduced by 3. 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 goes into 9 3 times. So finally, multiply across. That's -5/12. Number 4. Now, number 4 is a commission problem, guys, and it's talking about sales. Now, it wants us to find how many sales we have to have, or how much sales we have to have, in order to earn $900 if we also have $275 as salary and we earn 25% of our sales. Now, in each word problem, please, please, please try to identify what X is. So in this problem, we don't know our sales. So I'm going to let X be sales. From here, I'm going to start setting up my equation. Now I know I need to get to 900. 900 is the total. Now I have two more numbers to use. I have 275, and then I have 0.25, because again, percents have to be decimals. So if I'm thinking, all right, one of these has to be a constant, the other has to be my coefficient. Well, which one goes with the sales? Is it my percent of commission, or is it my salary? My salary does not go with sales. My salary is my constant. You get the salary no matter how many sales you make, all right? But I do get 25% of my sales. From here, solve the equation. How would you solve any normal equation? Get rid of your constant. When I subtract, I get 625. Then bring down the 0.25x. Divide by 0.25. And x is going to equal $2,500. So what this is saying is I need to sell enough items to earn $2,500 in sales in order to get $900 in basically my take-home money. That's what that's talking about. All right? Next one, number 5. Number 5 is an inequality, guys. And again, inequalities are basically the same thing as equations. We solve them the same way. There's only there's two big differences. One is that you have to watch out for the inequality sign, and you have to pay attention to when you flip it. The second is an equation equals one number. Inequalities, it's called a solution set, because in the end, we're going to have x is less than or greater than some number, and as long as that number makes the statement true, it works. So as we solve this, same concept as before. I'm going to distribute. Anytime I see distribution, I am going to distribute. So I'm going to have 5 minus 12 minus 9x is greater than or equal to negative 11. 5 minus 12 is negative 7. So all I did here was combine like terms. Now I'm going to solve it. I'm going to get rid of my constant first. Since it's negative 7, I'm going to add 7. And now I'm going to divide by negative 9. Now, since I'm dividing a negative by a negative, it's going to be positive 4/9. And at the end of every inequality problem, you have to ask yourself, do I flip my inequality or do I keep it? In this case, you have to flip it because you divided by a negative. Since I divided by a negative on both sides, you flip the inequality. Now, this next is a word problem, guys. And the word problem is basically going through some things that you're buying, taco seasoning and meat, and it's saying, hey, you have $350 to spend, all right? And it wants us to figure out how much of a certain item that we're trying to buy. And in this case, as I pull the problem up, it says we got to figure out how many pounds of meat we can buy. Now we know taco shells cost $3 per stack and meat costs $2.50 per pound. So it's saying we bought 45 packs of tacos. Well, I mean, we can do that. If it's $3 per pack and we've bought 45 of them, that's easy to figure out. But now we have to figure out how much meat we have. So if meat costs $2.50, that's going to go with my variable. Now again, I didn't set my variable up, so let me do that real quick. X pounds of meat. Always identify what your variable is. From here, guys, that's going to be 350 equals, well, that's 135, right? Plus 250x. Subtract 135 on both sides. When I subtract 135, I'm going to get 215 equals 250x. Divide by 250. That's a decimal. And x is going to be 86. So I can buy 86 pounds of meat with the money I have left over. That one's pretty straightforward. Number 7. Number 7 is, again, another distribution problem. And this one Again, it looks intimidating because of so many fractions and negatives. But guys, like we talked about in class, all you gotta do is attack it step by step, break it down, and we should be good. So, when I multiply, negative 4 times 7 halves is going to be negative 28 over 2, which reduces to negative 14x, minus 4. Don't forget to distribute the second number. Same concept here. Negative 1/3 times 6 is negative 6/3, which is negative 2x. Again, negative 2x and minus 2x are the same thing. Then we're going to have negative 1/3 times negative 5, which is positive 5/3. The variables are going to be easy. That's negative 16x. But this, on the other hand, I have to find a common denominator. So off to the side, my common denominator is 3. So I'm going to have 5/3. Negative 4 is really negative 4 over 1. So if my common denominator is 3, this is no longer a negative 4, it's going to be negative 12. So when I add these two fractions together, I get negative 7, so it's going to be negative 7/3. Again, find a common denominator, change the negative 4 to a negative 12 over 3, add the fractions together, you're good. Number 8, guys, is a simple equation. 5 minus 3 halves x equals 1. Again, move the constant. That's a positive 5, not a negative. Now, to get rid of a fraction, we divide by fractions. But we also have to multiply by the reciprocal. So, actually, 2/3. And I'm going to get x equals 8/3. Again, you get rid of fractions by multiplying by the reciprocal. Next one talks about amount earned. And as we go through the problem, we can see that we're saying, all right, you get $24 per hour, and you work for 6 hours. $24 per hour, you work for 6 hours. Next, it says you get 5% of the ticket sales. So I get 5% of how much I sold in tickets. Boom. Remember to change your percent to a decimal. Crank that out, and you get $406.50. Now, guys, this last one. Whenever you get a geometry problem, you have to draw it. So the problem talks about lengths and widths. It says the length is 5 less than 3 times the width. Since the length is being compared to the width, let's call the width W. Now 5 less than 3 times the width is implying that it's minus 5. That's what 5 less than means. 3 times the width is 3W. It tells us to find the perimeter. The perimeter is 54. And we know that perimeter means you add up all the sides. So if I add up all of these sides, 3W, 3W, WW, that's 6, 7, 8, minus 10, if I combine like terms, minus 5 and minus 5 is minus 10, I get 54 because that's my total perimeter. If I go through this quickly and solve for W, I get 8. Now, this is the big thing you have to pay attention to. 8 is not my answer. 8 is the width. The question wants you to find the length. So if the length is 3W minus 5, 3 times 8 minus 5 is 19. Again, guys, it's important to answer the question at hand. Always answer the question that they're asking. Okay? So, that's the rundown. Hopefully you guys understood it. I went kind of fast in some, but hopefully it was crystal clear. Again, if you guys have any questions about this, please come see me in class and we should be good to go. All right? Otherwise, good luck, and let's hope we're rocking it.